Namaste. Last time we started speaking about the approach called Dana. Just to remind you, Dana is not charity, Dana is giving. Giving also can be in an intelligent manner. And remember, I also gave you the example of geopolitics. And if the president of various nations were to use this method in a wise manner, it is likely to work brilliantly. Let me also remind you of the two examples which you may have experienced or you may have yourself used. The examples were either of a professional mentor who has been offering you guidance from time to time, is a dana that helped you and moved you in a certain direction, or you having got the attention of a friend who listened to you carefully and offered you a few words of wisdom when you were in trouble, personally or professionally. These are the examples. Now I'm going to remind you of one more example. If you remember a story that I mentioned in one of our very early videos, I had told you about a bandit called Daku Hasina. Do you remember how she was caught? The Punjab police, brilliant people, realized that Daku Hasina, even though she had looted crores from the bank, was a Lupta kind. And therefore, at a certain point where they knew she was heading along with her husband, they offered free soft drinks. And guess what? She fell for it. She went over there to grab a free soft drink and she took off her mask, and immediately those cops who were posing as the people at that fruit drink stall nabbed her and her husband. What a brilliant use of dana, no? So these are all various kinds of dana. How do we use it? I want to tell you that dana has to be used artfully, skillfully. How do you use it skillfully? You have to study the person with whom you are intending to use it. Remember, for a noble purpose, for a good cause. So there are people who respond very well to the gross kind. For example, there may be people who really enjoy a drink outside or really some large gift, something which is clearly visible. There could be people who probably enjoy just your mild appreciation, or you're giving time, or you're giving some guidance. And there may be people who may be a combination of these. These are actually a continuum of people which you have to decide on the basis of your experience and your study of that individual. That are they the kind who are relatively immature, to those who are somewhat mature, to those who are extremely mature and evolved. So for the evolved kind, be very careful. There you are offering a gift, something which looks ostentatious is unlikely to have the effect. So there, think about how do you offer appreciation or a kind word or some guidance. Maybe you can also offer help by way of suggesting a contact. It's a very powerful dana in modern times. So if you lead a person to someone else who can help that individual, either by way of a job or by way of something important, that can be one kind of dana, right? But there will be people who respond better when you give them something that they truly like. It could be a book, it could be a dress, it could be food, a treat out. This is the other kind of dana. And then there's something in between which could be a combination of this. You may realize that there is someone, who you want to form a deeper connection with. What do you generally do? You say, hey, can we meet? And you set aside a time specifically to meet with that person. It could be in a coffee shop, it could be in that individual's office, it could be in your office. And then you have a coffee and a chat together and you form a rapport. And if you have really spent time understanding that individual and connecting with that person, you formed a bond that lasts for a long, long time. So here comes your assignment. How will you use dana For that, you please identify two examples where you think you really have a good cause, where you want to enlist someone's help. You decide what that call is. And it could be a friend, a family member, and share with me as a feedback of how you identified and what kind of dana experiment did you use. Dana is always meaningful, but how skillfully you do it will give you the right results. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Next time, we will take you to the third approach, the third expedient of Veda. One more very, very interesting approach to dealing with people. Dhanyavad.